Hello, my name is Scarlett Foster, and I am doing a video report for Weyers, Psych 200 Lifespan Development. The topic I chose is Adolescent Identity. I chose this topic because I feel like most of us have gone through the whole stage of adolescence in this class, and we've overcome a lot of barriers, to say the least, during this age group. That being said, let's get started. So, being adolescents is tough. We go through so much stuff. We never think anyone understands us. We fight with our parents. We fight with our peers. Therefore, we join in these social groups, and not only do our peers associate ourselves in these groups, but we do as well. And these groups can be anywhere from the jocks, the nerds, the stoners. We join these groups to feel like that we belong somewhere. We just want to fit in, and we fit into when we can, and so we grip onto these groups, and that's who we socialize with and depict ourselves as. And for some of us, like to say the jocks, also bring these stereotypes kind of more into college as well, in their later adolescence, early adulthood years, if they're playing college basketball or football. And a lot of these kids also join these and conform to these groups, not just for themselves, but for their parents' acceptance. And that's become a really big thing nowadays. Is I play sports because my parents wanted to. I joined debate because my parents wanted me to. It's not really for ourselves, it's for our parents, to make our parents proud and happy. And in the end, it's not really helping us form who we want, because then when we get out to the real world, like college, it's like, I didn't get to experience all this stuff, and now I just want to do this, and this, and we don't really have a set plan for our identity, and we don't really have a lot of goals. That being said, relationships also really help us form our identity. A study that Zimmer, Jenbeck, Hughes, Kelly, and Cannoli found is that those who did have a steady relationship, one-person relationship, throughout either their late adolescence or even throughout their whole adolescence, that they had better long-term goals, and they had better relationship expectations later on in life, because they already knew them, and that these partners helped them figure out what their goals were. Also, at the same time though, those who weren't in a one-person relationship or committed relationship, or if you're like me and you didn't date anybody in high school, they have more self-exploration, and also on top of that, they have a lot more autonomy, which helps create and choose your personal identity in the end. And you do get that exploration of, well, I want to be this, and I want to be that, and I want to go here, and I want to go there, because you're really not tied down in a specific place, specific person, and what you do makes them happy, and you have to think about them all the time. And not only that though, but again, this is another time where, adolescents, were peer pressured into relationships. Over half said that in high school they felt like they needed to be in a relationship to fit in with their other peers. Not only that though, but when you do have your relationship, you do have better organization skills. They really don't have a correlation of how that plays in effect, but I guess it's just time management that you've spent with that person. Not only that though, but I did research on studies and about kids and adolescents who were in abusive home settings and around more antisocial settings. Those children within 6 months showed that they did have behavior like they were around. So if you were normal plain Jane and you're around a person who's lashing out, you're more likely to lash out within less than 6 months. And that's actually really important nowadays, because we do see a lot more leniency in high schools, and not even high schools, but even junior high, with how kids treat themselves and treat others. And it makes us want to do the same thing. So if Bobby's being mean to the teacher, most likely another kid's going to be mean just as well. And it really doesn't teach anybody. And with that study also, it was, you can reverse these. And so you can be really aggressive, and you can, rather than, psychological issues, you can be around aggressive people, learn these aggressive behaviors, but in the end, you can still reverse it. Surround yourself with great people, surround yourself with people who know what they want to do with the rest of their lives, and it does rub off. It goes back to the saying, show me your friends and I'll show you your future, because that's really what this is. Not only that though, but religion has been playing a huge part into this adolescent identities, because we go to, a lot of people, not everybody, goes to church, they worship someone, they pray, that is a big thing. Therefore, we're having this interaction with many people a day who do worship different things, and this study showed that those of Hinduism actually had a huge, passionate, and they actually identify themselves more with their identity with Hinduism than any other religion that's out there right now. And actually one of the lowest ones was Christianity, which is supposed to be, our biggest religion in our country right now. And they actually showed very little correlation with their identity and with their religion. And those with Muslim actually tend to start out at a very young age associating their identity with Muslim, but once they hit a later adolescent age, that is when they start drawing themselves back and start more going towards their race. And a lot of people, that was another study that I did read, was identifying yourself as a race. It was studied that African Americans actually, as long as they accept their race and they take it into their identity, are more likely to have a higher GPA than those who don't, and they are able to overcome racism later in life and overcome that barrier that does help them form into the next stages of identity, which is very common nowadays, it sounds like, is a race issue, even though this is 2014. So that being said, leads on to our next thing, is those with mental issues who have identity crisis. Identity crisis is actually a little bit more common towards those who do follow in their parents' footsteps. I need to take over my parents' business. My parent wants me to be a lawyer, so I have to be a lawyer. Those are the more people who have identity crises later in life, because it doesn't make them happy. They're doing everything for everyone else, but they're not doing it for themselves. And that being said, with the mental and psychologically impaired, they actually have a 90% rate of having an identity crisis, but psychologists and researchers actually really don't know what the correlation is at this point, because it is a fairly new study. They do also, again, in this situation, recommend for those with an identity crisis, whether it's in your adolescent age, whether you're an adult, whether you're a child, if you feel like you're having an identity crisis, that seeing a psychologist, a therapist, someone who will listen to you, whether it's your parents, your friends, or whatever, that actually helps you take you on to the next level, and that it helps you get through these identity crises so you don't get stuck, and that you don't feel stuck. And that is so important nowadays. And that's really mostly everything, is just conforming together and helping one another to get over these barriers. And a lot of stuff had to do with peer pressure as well, just to fit in. And I think that we really need to kind of get away from that, and we need to allow people to express themselves and to form their own identities and experiment these different identities that they're going to go through, whether it's now or whether it's later in life, because at least in your adolescent years, your brain's still developing, and it's easier to overcome these steps versus waiting and you don't really know what to do because you're older, you have all these bills, you don't want to go back to college, and now you're stuck at this job, and you haven't explored anything else except for that life, and now it's too late. But remember, it's never too late to go back to college and to do what you want to do to be happy.